You may have just heard me exhale. That's the first time I've been able to do that because I closed my eyes when Champagny threw up that last-second three-point shot that if it goes in, the Spurs are up 1-0, and it changes the entire narrative of the program today. Well, first of all, it changes the montage. It's Dido. Instead, it's, who is this that we just played?
That was Flo Rida.
Flo Rida. It was a little Flo Rida. Otherwise, it would have been Dido White Flag. And I couldn't even bear to watch. As a matter of fact, until I heard the replay of the replay saying it was off the rim, I still didn't know if we'd won or lost. That's how I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat, but I can eat now. And this is what's tough. This is what's important to me today. Today is what, Timmy? What day of the week is it?
Cinco de Mayo.
And what day of the week is it?
May 5th, or Tuesday.
So, Taco Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, and the trifecta is its closing day today. Because of that, food is being catered in and is Mexican. Was supposed to be here at 11:45, still not here yet. So now, when I break at 6 minutes, I hope I get down there and there's food left for me because I don't know what I'm going to do because I didn't bring a lunch because I knew it was Cinco de Mayo, Taco Tuesday, closing day. But I'm really excited about it because I'm hungry. That game, I worked up an appetite watching that game last night. I've not eaten since dinner last night. I'm one of those, what do they call it, intermittent fasters. And that's what I did. And I'm intermittent fasting and everything. I'm intermittently fast when I play golf. I'm intermittently fast when I talk. I'm intermittently fast when I do this, that, lat. There was some breaking news today. Well, first of all, Tennessee, when you have both your winter sports teams in the playoffs, it's almost like they both seem to be courting us. In other words, they are vying for our
attention.
Attention. That's exactly what they're doing. They're vying for our attention. And you have members of the air staff are definitely in the basketball community. PAs, and I know he likes hockey too, and Barrero likes hockey, but they're both in the basketball community. Yeah. Wouldn't you agree? Then you're in the...
Timberwolves superfan, KFAN's Dan Barrero.
So, and you're in the hockey community. How about the morning show? Do we know? Do we have any indication? Do they care
Corey's a basketball guy.
Okay. Sauce is an NFL
I don't think Sauce really
guy.
Either. Yeah, he's just more NFL. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't think hockey cares about any of it.
Right. And I would say, for me, I'm really not in either community. So I think I find myself wanting to...
You're kind of the black sheep.
I am. I find myself wanting to, maybe I'll be there to share the land. Maybe I'll be there to shake your hand and we'll give it away. And we'll all share the land by the, it was the Guess Who's war and peace kind of a song. Everybody had a song that was supposed to be about anti-Vietnam, and Share the Land was kind of that way. Baby, I'll be there to shake your hand. Baby, I'll be there to and give it away. And we all live together. Talk about together now. Great song, by the way. Anyway, so the Wolves were on the front page until about 15 minutes ago, when it was announced that, I know it's not breaking news anymore, but I just love the sounder. John Hines, the head coach of the Minnesota Wild, has announced that Gus Bus will be between the pipes tonight. He will be the netminder for Game 2 of the best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal matchup between top-seeded Colorado and the third-seeded Minnesota Wild. And Tennessee, we'll take a deep dive into. Matter of fact, you can look at digital. I just did a goaltender.
I watched it.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Well, I let it in on my
good stuff.
I let it in on my glove hand though. I didn't have a glove on; just barehanded, which I'm not as good goaltending with a bare hand. But
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah. There's a lot of speculation as to why they made, because we talked about it quite a bit yesterday. Do we stay with hey, every one bad apple don't spoil a whole bunch, girl. Give it one more chance before you give up on love, right? And so that, everybody's entitled to a lemon, a clunker, right? And as we discussed yesterday, it wasn't all on Volstead. The defense was maybe shaky would be a apt description of how they played. And so it's like, well, it's like you fall off a bike, you get back up on it. However, because it's the Cup, sometimes decisions have to be made, and maybe they felt like Walson's played a lot of games in a row, right? He's played every game for how many now?
7.
And
I think the final regular season game as well. 8.
Okay, so 8 games in a row. And I don't know if that's unusual for this. You would know better than I do. I know they've rotated goalies probably like a 60-40, I think has been this year. I think that's what you said, but I could be wrong. Maybe you didn't say that. Maybe I just made that up. But so I don't know if 8-9 games is normal. Also, there's some speculation that possibly maybe Colorado has found his. You know how if you do, are you a Bible guy? Samson, they cut off his hair and he lost all his strength. So in other words, maybe they found his weak spot, his Achilles heel. That maybe because didn't he give up most of his goals on the glove hand side?
A lot of them were up high, yeah.
Yeah, up high glove hand side. So maybe they've got that figured out, and maybe it's time let's back off a little bit and let's give Gus Bus another opportunity. I don't really have a problem with it. The only thing that we did discuss is I can't get inside the wall in St. Paul's head. Will he go, they don't trust me anymore. I'm really bad. I don't know what I'm going to do. If I get another chance, am I going to be really bad again? If he's that kind, I wouldn't think he's got that mentality, but we don't know until he...
They trusted him enough to give him game 1.
Right.
And every game after that, so...
Right, but what I'm saying is you don't know how he'll feel because he might feel bad about giving up all those goals. And then now that they pulled him out, he might feel like, wow, they think I can't do it. You're right. They did trust him, but we can't get into Wally's head. We don't know. And we'll see when he gets another opportunity to play. My guess is he's not done unless Gus Bus pitches a shutout tonight and he's brilliant. Then you go to Gus Bus in Game 3. And if Gus Bus is brilliant in Game 3, you stick with Gus Bus. And if Gus Bus is brilliant in Game 4, you stick with them. So it's definitely a fluid situation, to say the least. We'll talk about the Wild in Game 2 tonight that you'll hear on this radio. It is tonight, isn't it?
Yes, 7 o'clock tonight.
Got it right. Because Abbott's worried that I never know when the game... I don't know when the Wolves play next. Is that tomorrow night?
It's tomorrow night, yes.
It is tomorrow night. Well, that's not that strange of a question because the Wild now aren't going to play until Saturday after they play tonight. There's no rhyme or reason to how they put these schedules together. So the Wolves will play tomorrow night. They win last night. What do all those experts think now? Every expert, remember we read from AI yesterday when it said, well, most experts are picking the Spurs to win and probably 4-1. Well, I guess it could be 4-1, but that means the Spurs will have to win 4 in a row, and I'm not sure they can do that. So we'll break, we'll come back. Tennessee has a keyword for us. We'll do Peek at the Purple, that and so much more on the Common Man program here on The Fan.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword RICH at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is RICH. Enter now at KFAN.com.
App.
Bonus Bucks is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is presented by BigDeck.com.
It's just another Taco Tuesday. Oh. That's my Cinco de Mayo day. I've got my lunch finally arrived, and I'm so excited. I'm going to ask you questions instead of you asking me so I can eat lunch. It's time for Peek at the Purple, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Remember, Electrical Safety Month, the month of May. Have them come over and do a total inspection of your place to make sure everything's ship shape. You don't want any fluttering lights. You don't want this, that, or that. So if you want an electrical inspection, or just if you have any electrical needs at all, go to my friends at affordable-electric.com, affordable-electric.com. And remember, they are shockingly affordable. Ted, I don't see anything Viking related. Did you? We talked a little bit yesterday about and I don't even know if we did this during Peek at the Purple, but just the Vikings, Alec Lewis, who writes Vikings for the Athletic, wrote a piece about, well, here we are with the team, and here's our depth chart for our different rooms. And we talked about the quarterback room and how he's listed Kyler Murray as the starting quarterback. And as you mentioned, we think KOC sort of tipped his hand in that interview when he talked about, and so when Kyler does this, but then again, it's really pretty much any quarterback that does this. So, and I think most people feel like they'd be really surprised if he wasn't the starting quarterback. The only way I think he's not is if he incurs some type of a major injury or he's just absolutely terrible and spends all of his time playing video games, which was kind of the rap on him for a while when allegedly they had to write it into his contract that would you please spend some time studying the playbook instead of spending all of your time playing video games. But I also saw when I looked at this this piece by where did it go? Here it is. By Alec Lewis. He took, each position room and took a look at them. And yesterday we looked at the quarterbacks. The running back room tend to be, as it sits right now, starter Aaron Jones, depth chart Jordan Mason, and then Damon Claiborne.
Yep.
Others on the roster, Xavier Scott, Keyjon Owens. He writes, Mason is a far more effective runner than Jones at this stage, but Jones has 3 down skills, earning the top spot. He's an admirable pass protector and can run an advanced route tree for a running back. The burst and durability are questions. To cover for them, the Vikings can lean into Mason's vision and efficiency. This flew a bit under the radar, but in 2025, Mason forced the second highest missed tackle rate among all NFL running backs, according to Next Gen Stats. Claiborne's role will depend on his day-to-day consistency and absorption of the scheme. Pass those tests, and he could emerge as a frequent option down the back half of the season. It tend to be, Jones has had a really fine career, but I do think he's. Would you agree with my opinion that his best days are probably behind him? And so I don't know how excited I am. And I do like the kid, the Jordan Mason kid. I do like him. And that stat I did not realize about the missed tackle bit. That's a nice stat there. I'm not real excited about the running back room. Are you? I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, there's worse, I suppose, but.
Not in the current state. You went into the draft knowing it was not after Jeremiah Love, it was not a good running back draft. So yeah, I mean, but out of all the positions, I know running back position is starting to get valued a little bit more than it once was, but I still think in the grand scheme of things, offensive line is going to matter more than your actually specific running back. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, Jordan Mason's Aaron Jones, let's just face it. He's just like a Brian Dunsing comfortable sweater, right? Like he's going to go out there. He's going to know the offense. He's going to be able to block on third downs. Like he's not going to make mistakes. I am curious to see whether Damon Claiborne, obviously if there's an injury, he's going to be counted on. But even without injuries, if everyone's healthy, if he starts chiseling into Aaron Jones's time at all, because he's going to be the Aaron Jones replacement, and he's going to be the fastest running back in the room.
We also employ a fullback. We think that's important, where not many teams do anymore. Max Bredesen. In recent years, O'Connell has loved using C.J. Ham as a third down pass protector. Bredesen has the smarts and physicality to handle the same duty. The Vikings also could lean further into heavier personnel in 2026, considering the addition of assistant head coach Frank Smith. Last year, Smith was the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, used a fullback on 25% of their offensive snaps. Bredesen's versatility should allow him to line up on the line next to tight ends or as a wing player in the backfield. He figures to be a well-used offensive weapon. I don't know. I mean, when you bring in an assistant who used a fullback more than some others, you think that's a tell?
But
in other words, you think that they will use him. He will become an important part of the offense.
I think, out of all the guys in the draft, he might be the one, especially the day 2 guys, or day 3 guys, I should say, that probably going to have the best chance of being a notable player throughout the year, because it's already a position where you just left someone in CJ Ham. They showed in previous years, even when KOC took over, they still use CJ Ham a bit. He'll play special teams. So, out of all the guys on day 3, not like the highest upside guy, but if you're looking for a guy that's, isn't going to be out of the league in 2-3 years, that's probably a guy. He's going to be here. He's going to be on the roster. He's going to play.
Let's play. So there you go. And, for a peek at the purple, we'll probably scan through a few more of these position recaps that Alec Lewis, we appreciate Alec Lewis's work over at The Athletic. We'll take a break. Peek at the Purple brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. For all of your electrical needs, especially here during Electrical Safety Month, the month of May, affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric.com. Shockingly affordable.
KFAN welcomes some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. The legendary Bob Dylan will be there July 6th. Motley Crue on August 21st, and Santana and the Doobie Brothers on August 27th. Get the complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. Our Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. This one said, yawn, meaningless May football talk, but you are the professionals and we are. Leave the meaningless May football talk to the professionals. We have a sponsor obligation. And Teneby, Viking football, meaningless? It means everything to me right now. I mean, Viking football rules supreme in this town. The Vikings could sign a third-string wide receiver right now, would blow the Wolves and the Wild right off the front pages. I'm just telling you, it would. It's just the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Wolves win last night. I enjoyed the game, Teneby. It was a physical. Both teams played defense. Wembanyama he'd everything he's advertised, though offensively he didn't score like he's capable. I think the Wolves did a nice job on preventing him being as efficient offensively, I think, as he normally is. I was reading a piece in The Athletic, kind of an analysis of the game, and I think it's a cliche, and there might be some truth to it, though I think it's a little overblown and a little overwrought, if that's the right word, overwrought. Not like rotten egg, just overwrought, WROUGHT. That the Spurs don't have a real playoff pedigree as of as of late, right? I mean, obviously they've won NBA championships. How many as the franchise San Antonio? They must have won 4 or 5 NBA titles, right?
Oh yeah,
over the years.
Yeah,
in the Wild have none. But as a recent vintage, the Wild are much more playoff tested, having gone to the Western Conference Finals last couple of years in a row. And it seemed like the tenor of the story that I read today in The Athletic was almost as if, well, that was the difference in the game. That the Wolves are, as a matter of fact, and the author of the piece is Jared Weiss, who writes for The Athletics. And he says, winning a first-round series usually entails the higher seed's talent advantage blanketing everything. That doesn't really happen at this stage, at least in today's West. The difference between the Spurs and Wolves this season was consistency over stretches of months. But playoff series go down in a relative instant, just a week or two of a pair of teams ramming at each other. Their best has to show up now, and the Wolves don't have any question about their identity, and their key guys have plenty of postseason experience. Most of the Spurs are just getting their feet wet, and it showed in Game 1. The Wolves are built different. They're longer, stronger, fiercer. The game plan is so much more complex against them, and it took the Spurs out of their comfort zone in the half court. The entirety of the Wolves' defense conspired to keep Wembanyama from getting downhill by sending early help to the free throw line. Randall turned into a lead blocker on offense to move him out of the way in crunch time. if it was that much of a difference, if it was that simple, it wouldn't have come down to a missed jump shot at the end of the game. I don't think. I'm not trying to diminish playoff experience. I think it does mean something, but I've said this before too. Once the games start, I think all of these players that have played, they've all played at a high level. So maybe they haven't been deep in an NBA playoff run, but in all their times playing basketball, from Pop Warner, Howard Pulley, travel basketball, high school, college, whatever the case may be, they've all played in big moments and important ball games. They all have. So I think that's a little overblown because if how do you say his name? I listened to it over and over again so I could get it. The kid that missed the shot, Champagne.
It looks like Champagne.
Yeah, but it's not Champagne. His name is. I just looked. I listened to the pronunciation like 10 times. If he hits that shot at the buzzer, and that was a wide open three. If he hits that shot at the buzzer, instead of talking about how gutty Edwards was playing through significant pain in both knees, okay?
Champagne,
that's it. Champagne. I have to remember. I have to do what I used to. When I used to memorize basketball, high school basketball. I used to do play-by-play basketball at the state tournament. I'd do like 4 games in a row. The team that I was calling the games for, whoever their opposition was, I'd never seen them play basketball before. So I'm running over to the coach during between games when we send it back to the studio and going, can you tell me who your 11 starters are? And I'd write their names down, and then you try to figure out little methods to pronounce their names correctly and to match up a number with a name. And what'd you say? How do you pronounce that again?
Champagne.
I'll just have to think of
the coin, the penny.
Yeah, or Penny Hardaway. Champagne. So I
would just think of this show being a sham.
Yeah.
And then Penny Hardaway.
Or how about a sham and we're getting pennies? We're getting paid pennies. You're right. The show is a sham and we're going to get paid pennies to do it. Champagne.
I always love that.
If he hits that shot, instead of talking about how gutty Edwards was, and he was, you can tell he's fighting through a lot of pain. He's the tough guy, right? He's rubbed a little Robitussin on it and eaten some, rubbed a little dirt on it and ate some Robitussin. Or no, how do I say it? Whatever. He's playing through pain, and he had a solid game last night, especially fourth quarter. Started out really well. He hit the game tying bucket, and then he hit another 3-pointer that gave them the lead. But if that 3-pointer goes in and we lose at the buzzer, the talk is, how does Ant turn the ball over on an inbounds play?
We're talking about the meltdown at the end of the game.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. And that's why there's such a...
Even before then, they went to Julius Randle for that last shot in the offensive possession.
Yes.
Like, why is Ant not touching the ball? In the final possession, when you have a 2-point lead, why is Ant not touching the ball? Your best offensive player. Who was playing well offensively.
Sorry about that cough. I tried to hit the cough switch. You're right. And so it's a whole different narrative.
But even on that throw-in, I was annoyed. I know maybe some will say that's just a bad throw-in by Ant, and you might be partially correct. I was annoyed that, like, our throw-in play is just going to be Julius Randle trying to post up with his hand up. Like, can't we, like, call some sort of play where we're setting picks and, like, making an effort to move to get open instead of just standing? The whole play just boggled my mind.
And maybe Ant was being magnanimous by saying, I threw in a lazy pass and that was my fault. Because it did seem like a little bit lazy. And so, anyway.
Which you and I don't put up with on this show.
Well, that's it. We're not, laziness is not part of our vocabulary. I can't even spell the word. Laziness. But but that didn't happen, right? And are we to think that, well, because of the Wolves' playoff experience, that's the reason they won the game? I don't think so. But I will say this. I always refer to that bum Phillips. Last year we got to the door. This year we knocked on it. Now we're going to kick it in next year. I do think the experience that does mean something is the bad taste that's in your mouth from having lost in the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. You're that close to getting the NBA Finals and you get bounced. So maybe a bit more determination, maybe a bit more focus. You know, there was also written in a piece.
Well, that's what I was going to say on the experience front, right? Like if you compare and contrast the Wild's Game 1 performance in Colorado to the Wolves game one performance in San Antonio, the Wild to me looked like a team that had given it all against Dallas and did not come out sharp in game one. They did not, all those little attention to details, the focus. And that could have easily been the Wolves after just beating a team that's their rival in the Denver Nuggets. But to me, it's weird to say this because of how they performed in the regular season, but the Wolves were the professional team in the market for game one.
Yes.
They played like a professional team, like a team that had been through. That's where I do think some of that experience does matter, of a couple runs of the Western Conference Finals where they know, hey, just because we won the next series, we got to be already thinking next game immediately. We got to shift our focus, whereas I think the Wild did not do that very well.
There was a quote from Finch, and I guess it wasn't in Sue Ann's piece. Sue Ann did a piece on Edwards today. There was, here, I think I can, no, another one. What do you mean the page is not available? It's got to be available. Here it is. Here's what, I know I can't, I'll look for it and get an exact quote, but, here it is. It says, here's what Finch said. Coming off an emotional series like we just had versus Denver in years past, I think we would have come into the series a little more giddy, a little more relaxed. We weren't. We were able to level set and recognize as a whole new series, a whole new reality. And I think that's what we're both talking about there, is that it's like, okay, before we beat them, hey, we got out of the first round, we're all happy and everything's good. And then all of a sudden, well, wait now, but that's fine. But that's now that's series one. Now you have another one to get to. And they were really good. And that goes back to, I think they were so frustrated getting bounced in the first two rounds, or in the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years, that's what was probably behind some of what Ant said early in the year about, it just seems like we want to get through these games. Like, I'm not excusing this, but I'm sure as a team you're going, now we got to go through another 82-game schedule, a long 6 months or 5 month grind, whatever it is, to get to the place that we've been the last 2 years to try to do it again. And so you get a little impatient and you get a little bit, this is mean, even though the regular season is meaningful to make the playoffs, because you already know you're one of the, you're making the postseason, barring season-ending injuries to 2 or 3 star players, right? Like if DiVincenzo goes out earlier in the year, and let's say Ant's lost for a 2-month period, what's a different story then, right? You'd be struggling to make the playoffs. But knowing that if you stay healthy, you're making postseason play, maybe it's human nature. It's your focus just isn't as strong, and now it is again. And so if experience was a difference last night, and I say there was probably some of that, we'll see if that changes with game two. But
that being said, one of your guys that has the least amount of experience, he was on the team last year, but he hasn't played a lot of significant minutes in the playoffs. Terrence Shannon Jr. got the start last night. He was terrific.
Yes.
24 points. He's against a team that is hard to attack the rim on, because Wemby is probably the greatest shot blocker I've ever seen in my life. They were still going at him nonstop. He had some big buckets down the stretch there. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was. And so that was it's nice to steal one at the Forum like that. To get one on the road. And I talked this earlier about Wallstead and what's in his head right now, after a bad game and then not getting, sometimes you do want to get back up on that bike and do it again. And now they're saying we're going to give it to Gus. And I'm sure it's, my guess is he's psychologically tough and it won't affect him. But just talk about the psychological part of to me, which is much more fascinating than just the athletic. They're all great athletes at this point, right? Once you get to the pros, you're really good at what you do. But to me, it's the psychological part of the game. And that the Spurs now, they know that they had the number 2 seed. They had home court advantage. That's gone now. They lost the game, though it was anybody's game right up into the bitter end. But how do they handle it? Do they press a little bit now, right? Do sometimes guys try to take matters into their own hands. And Wembanyama, he's, for as young as he is, he seemed pretty cool, calm, and collected last night during the game. But he didn't score like he did, and that's the credit to the Wolves defense. They They took him out of his game. Matter of fact, there was a quote from Wembanyama in that Athletic piece where he talked about how, and here it is. This is what he said regarding last night's game. He said, most of the Spurs are just getting their feet wet, and it showed in game one. Wembanyama said, it just went by like this, and that's not good. It means I didn't have the grasp on the game that I wish I did. So he wasn't prepared for it, especially the way the Wolves approached. The approach they took against Wembanyama, it sounds like he didn't really see it coming. And it made a big difference in the game.
Well, I will say on Wembanyama, as the first half is transpiring, he's got 7 blocks at the time, 7-8 blocks in the first half. I was thinking to myself, why do the Wolves keep going to the rim?
Right.
Because he's just you can't get the ball past him.
Did he have 12 blocks?
He ended up with 12, and a couple of them are arguably goaltends. But
right.
As I'm watching, I'm like, why do we keep trying to do this? And then it started to make sense to me as the game went along, and even listening to Terrence Shannon Jr. talking after the game. I actually think it is kind of smart to go at him because you made him work.
Yeah.
You're making him exert, and now you're going to fail a good chunk of the time.
Absolutely.
And he's going to come up with his 13, 14 blocks, and it's darn impressive. I've never seen anyone defensively like it, but they were making him work. There was one time where Wembanyama had to run back from the other side of the floor.
Correct.
And, he got the block, but he had to put in a lot of effort and exert a lot of energy, and maybe that had an impact on his offense. Maybe that's why he couldn't get to the inside. He was settling for perimeter 3-point shots, which he clearly, maybe he didn't have the legs to do it. I don't know. But I kind of like the mentality of the Wolves of, we don't care that you are elite at that. We are going to keep attacking that because that's just our aggressive mindset.
Because I'm the only major market radio talk show host in the country who can admit when they're wrong or maybe miscalculated or misjudged, for instance, a player's impact. When the Wolves reacquired, didn't we lose Connolly because of all the trades we did, and then we got him back,
yes.
Right? And when we got Connolly back, I remember saying something to that. I'm paraphrasing my own comment, but it was something like, well, he's got nothing left. It's nice to have him back on the club, and maybe he can do some rah-rah and shake pom-poms for us, but as far as is having an impact on a game in a meaningful way, I just don't see it being there anymore. Yet he was very good last night. He was really good last night. And so was the Shannon kid. He played really well last night. So those two guys, matter of fact, somebody sent to the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, and I think this is accurate. He says that the two that Shannon and Conley combined for 0 turnovers in 58 minutes. That's an astonishing number because, you obviously want to limit your turnovers, but it just seems by accident you're going to turn the ball over.
Especially for Shannon because of the pace he plays at.
Yes, correct.
He plays kind of at that frenetic pace.
And Conley is trying to move the ball around and get the people in the right position, so you might have an errant pass or two, but that was pretty impressive.
Conley makes the right play every time. He's limited, obviously, defensively. He's not the same offensive force he was, but if you get him open, he'll hit a shot. But he'll move the ball to the right spot where it needs to go. The ball doesn't get sticky when he's on the court.
Here's a text that says, only third game all year, Wemby played 40 minutes. So, and that goes back to, we talk about how teams perform over 82 games. My concern with the Wolves treating the game, I just thought you're not. It's sort of disrespectful to the fan who pays big money to come to a game, a home game, and then you don't give. Admittedly, they've said it themselves that we don't give the effort all the time. But when teams see different approaches throughout the season, and now you get into the playoff times, and Wemby's playing. San Antonio puts it where did they win 60 games? So you win 60 games. A lot of times you're facing opposition that's probably a little soft. They're in game 48. They're a terrible team in a terrible city with a terrible fan in a terrible stadium, and they're giving token resistance to Wemby, right? And so Wemby's having his way and doesn't have to play 40 minutes because San Antonio's got another one in the win column, and they've got the game under control, and they're really, they're no, even close games, the better team that's superior to the other team knows that at any moment We see it happen all the time in basketball. The underdog team, look at Detroit and Orlando. Orlando goes up 3-1. Detroit finally gets serious. They are the better team, and they showed it by winning 3 in a row. Now, that's playing with fire to get behind 3-1. But, Wemby playing 40 minutes like that, it's
I think he probably has to,
right,
because they have a pretty small lineup other than him. They don't have a lot of bigs. When he's off the floor, the Wolves have guys who can attack the rim. Anthony Edwards, Bones can attack the rim. Jaden McDaniels, if Ayo is playing, he can attack the rim. So the second, even Naz Reid can attack the rim. Like the second Wemby gets out of the game for just a little bit, then the Wolves get in full-on attack mode. They don't have a lot of bigs.
A couple of people, and you had mentioned that maybe some of those blocks were goaltending. Several other people have said the same thing. And I'm always, I have to admit, I'm always a little skeptical when fans of the hometown team are questioning officiating calls, because everybody does. We're all, that's human nature. It seems like regardless of the sport, happens in football a lot too, because, it's so bang, bang. And, that wasn't holding. That should have been pass interference, And you sometimes wonder, well, really, were they goaltending?
Well, the head coach questioned it too, so it wasn't just the fans. But
well, no, I know.
Yeah.
But the head coach is always going to question that. Did the San Antonio head coach question it? No. Of course the head coach is going to question it. And I wanted to finish what I was saying, though. First, I'm not saying that some weren't goaltend that may have been goaltending, but that's what you're going to come. I expect the coach to say that even if he doesn't believe it, because you're trying to gain any advantage you can by complaining about the calls, hoping that the officials will watch it a little closer next game. There certainly could have been some that were goaltending, but I think that, again, that's a little overblown too, because you saw it again last night. Anytime there was a foul called, the player that got fouled is going, I didn't foul him. Well, what are you talking about? I didn't foul him. It's the same thing. Did he foul him or did he not? Was it goaltending or was it not? I'm sure there was one or two that were probably goaltending, but that's going to happen in the basketball game. Not every call is going to be right. There are going to be goaltending. There are going to be calls that they called goaltending and it wasn't. There are going to be times where it was and they don't call it. And same thing with fouls too. So I would expect the coach. I'm sure Finch saw it that way as goaltending. That would only make sense. We'll pause. We'll come back to legendary one, Mark Rosen. I know he wasn't courtside last night because the game was in San Antonio, but I'm sure Charlie's hooking him up for Game 4. We'll take a break. We'll come back. 53410. What you got for us?
If we bring Scheffler, will they come?